loud. Excellent. Okay, so we're gonna start ever so gently tapping up and down on your sternum. That's your breastplate there. You can use your fingers if you like. If you're feeling a little more vigorous, you can use your fist and do a gentle tap, whatever feels good to you. And then come over to one side and get this area underneath the collarbone and just on the chest. There's some acupressure points there, good for immunity. Now with that same hand out, we're gonna calm down those yin channels I was talking about. When you get to your wrist, turn it over and come up from the wrist to the elbow, up to the shoulder. And now arm goes over again and take a different pathway down. Down, cross the elbow to the wrist, turn it over, up the outside, and get that shoulder, top of the shoulder, and then one more time. My palm is up, facing the ceiling, and coming down. And every time I try to take a slightly different path, and then turn it over and come up that outside and get the top of the shoulder. Bring both hands down for a minute and just pay attention. This hand got warm just from opening up the circulation on that. So we're going to do the other one. So start tapping on the chest, go over to those acupressure points, and then coming down. Down one side, turn it over, and up the outside, the yang channel. And get the top of the shoulder there, and again, down the inside, up the outside, and one more time. There, and let's do a little massage on the shoulders. So just take one hand and kind of make a claw and get the top of your shoulder and just massage it in a way that feels good to you. Oh, I do this all the time, and it just is like instant burst of energy. You can also find a tender spot and then move your shoulder around a little bit. And other side. If you have headaches, this is a really nice thing to do for yourself, just to provide a little relief. Might turn the volume down a little bit for you. All right, and let's just go back to our octopus arms for a moment and kind of stir that energy in, and let's do some shoulder rolls. My hands are just dangling loose. Shoulders come forward, up, back, and down. And, oh. As my shoulders come forward, I lean forward and then up, back, and around. One more time. Great. So now we're gonna work on the channels of the legs. So I'm going to turn around so you can see. Find that, if it's easy for you, find the bottom of your rib cage, and then you're going to go up and down on either side of the spine. If it's too hard to reach here, you can just stay down here. You can also tap on the spine if you want. Just cover a big area. This is our kidneys, and our adrenals are at the bottom of our rib cage, so we're activating those and loosening up the low back. And then we're gonna do some tapping. So do this seated or standing. We're gonna go down the back and then up the inside, down the side, up the inside, and then down the front outer. So let's start with the back and just anywhere you can reach on your hamstring, back of the knee, down the back of the calves, and then up the inside knees, up to the hips. And now we're gonna go down the outside. Tap, tap, ooh, on that IT band, down the outer shins, and then up. And one more time, down the front. And then up the inside. And just notice how you feel. That's like everything just gets kind of woken up for me. So we're gonna start our flow movements. Let me just do a little time check here. Great, we are right on time. So if you are, for everybody, whether you're seated or standing, just for a moment, want you to bring your feet close together and just notice how that feels. For me, it doesn't feel bad in any way, but it takes a little bit of energy, and I'm definitely a little tippy-toppy. Don't feel firm and grounded. And so, take a stance. And if you're seated, you all are doing it great. It's the same thing. We're creating a firm foundation. So whether we're seated or standing, that's more beneficial posture for what we're trying to do. And so we're gonna start out opening the flow. And so for the rest of class, for the first part of class, we often breathe through our nose and then out through the mouth. We make some noise, and we're just clearing stress, whether it's in our body, our mind, our emotions. And now for the rest of class, if it's available to you, in through the nose, out through the nose. We tend to breathe slower that way, and when we are able to slow our breath down and slow our bodies down, the mind often slows down. And so that can be really, really useful. And so hands facing your thighs. If you're seated, they can be just on your thighs. And then my hands are really loose. For a moment, let's exaggerate it. Have tension in your hands and tension in your wrists. And inhale up and flex, and inhale down, and just feel, doesn't feel bad, but it feels tense. And so now float, relax, float the hands up, float the hands down. Very different when you have a different intention. In through the nose, out through the nose. If you're standing, have a just gentle bend in the knees. And now we're going to add in the direction. So we're going to inhale up and back and push forward. Hands are relaxed, coming back. And now they're going to go to the sides. Exhaling to the sides. Inhaling back to the middle, and then hands on a cloud, floating down. So this is opening the directions, opening the flow to the 6 directions, in front and behind, to the left and the right, above and below. And just really feel your personal space around you being established and cleared. It's like a little protective energy bubble around you. I'm excited. My teacher is teaching a class, I think it's next weekend maybe, about protecting yourself from other people's energy. So I will bring some of that back to you all here. But it can be very helpful to just kind of clear some space. And one more time, let's slow it down. And down. So we're going to move into the 5-element flows. We will start out with the metal element, which is housed in your lungs. If you're a visual person and want to work with a color, the color is a kind of like pearly luminescent white. And so as you inhale into your lungs, you can imagine that pearly luminescent white really nourishing the inside of your lungs. And then as you exhale, letting it move out through every pore of your body. So we'll start with hands at about the level of your solar plexus, facing down. And again, tense your hands, feel what that feels like. And then relax, and our hands just kind of float. So we inhale through the nose, hands turn over, thumb and index finger connect, and exhale. And as I exhale, gently sink my chest. Inhale, chest opens. Exhale, chest sinks. In through the nose, out through the nose. For those of you that are standing, as your hands come out, you ever so gently rock forward onto your toes. Exhale, ever so gently sink into your heels. And slowing it down. And one more time. Hands on a cloud, coming down. So we're gonna alternate today. So when we do movement like that, even though it's gentle, slow movement, when we talk about yin and yang, everything is in relation to something else. So there's night and day, but within the day, there's the morning and the afternoon. So within Qigong, those movements we just did, many people would call them yin, but in relation to doing a standing posture, they're yang because we're moving. So we did some movement, and so now we're just gonna do a standing posture. And so you can imagine that there's that white, pearly luminescent light coming off of your hands. And then I want you to just to explore this area. Find your collarbone there. First find your chest bone. That's what we were tapping on. And then find your collarbone. And then come under that collarbone. And if you're flexible, you can do it on both sides. I can't do it on both sides unless I cross my hands. But those are the lung points that we want to open up. And so you can massage them a little bit on either side. And then now we're going to do a standing posture for our medals. So my hands are going to be beaming beneficial energy towards those points. My elbows are relaxed. If I was like this, takes a lot of muscles to hold up my arms, my shoulders will get fatigued. So arms, my elbows are, experiment with that. Hold this for a minute. And now keep your hands there and see if you can just drop your elbows, and we can hold that longer. And so settling in, we're just gonna hold this for about 60 seconds. I will mind the time. Think of someone or something that inspires you. Maybe it's beautiful night sky. Maybe it's a beautiful place in nature you've been, or someone that's very inspiring, and just hold that in your mind's eye and breathe that in. If your arms get tired, you can bring them down, bring them back up if you're ready. And feel as you're breathing in that inspiration physically, but also emotionally. And dropping your hands down. I'm part of a book group here at Enso Village. We're part of a program with James Baraz that's doing the Awakening Joy. And he encourages us, he says, if joy is difficult for you, pick a word, whether it's well-being or contentment, could be inspiration. And our homework is to 15 seconds, if I'm by the pond and the sun is hitting it and it's just beautiful, instead of taking out my camera and taking a picture of it, just savoring that and just really breathing it in and doing that 6 times a day. So you can think about that if you want to do some of that too. It's rewiring your brain. We're so programmed to go immediately to the negative. And so when there's something peaceful happening or joyful happening, savor it, like really, really just take the time to breathe it in and out, can be powerful. So we're gonna move to our water element. The color is kind of like my turtleneck, vibrant blue. And the flow is called the fountain. So it's pretty simple, seated or standing. Hinge forward at the hips, back of the hands come together, and then we draw that watery energy up from the earth, up our midline. When we get here, that's the last point on the channel. The fountain goes out and around. So hinging forward, back of the hands, relaxed, exhaling out. In through the nose, out through the nose. And just feel that watery energy entering through your soles, coming up through your bones, nourishing, hydrating from the inside out. You can undulate the spine if you like, be very watery. Water can take many forms. We are 70% water, or so I've heard. So it's just really tuning in to something that's already present in you. And this is really a whole body exercise, working with the hips and the spine and the feet and the arms and the chest. The water element is our true nature, our deepest essence. Qigong can really nourish that. Let's do it 3 more times, slow. Last one. Coming down. So we're going to move into the wood element. So the flow looks similar, but there's some differences. So with the water one we just did, we're just hinging forward and coming up the midline and stopping here. For the wood, turn from your hips and your waist. That's one difference. And then we're drawing, our hands are facing each other. We're going to inhale up the side of the body and keep going above our head. When we get here, turn back to the center, and then arms come out and wide. If that's hard for your shoulders to go above your head, you can always do one hand if you like. You can just do your shoulders, imagining that you're doing the movement. So let's start on your right. So hands are facing each other. They're loose, turning from your hips and your waist, looking down if you can to see your big toe. That's where the liver channel starts. And inhaling up the side of the body, through the neck and eyes and brain. And as we get here, turning back to the center, and then our branches go far and wide, turning to the other side, inhaling through the nose, turning to the center, exhaling through the nose. As I'm inhaling and drawing the energy up, I'm sending my roots down, connected to the earth, feeling the gravity holding me tight. In through the nose, out through the nose, and just feel your hands moving through space. In through the nose, out through the nose. It's like your legs drinking up that earth energy like straws. The wood element, somebody with a balanced, healthy wood element is rooted and grounded and also flexible. The emotions associated with it are courage and generosity, taking right action. Let's do one more to each side. We'll do another standing posture called embracing a tree. And so think of a beloved favorite tree. Maybe it's where you live, maybe it's where you used to live. If you don't have a favorite tree, that's your homework assignment. Go get one. It's a really important. Trees, we couldn't live without trees. They're putting off that life-giving oxygen that we need. And so hands come up, fingers pointing towards each other. Thumb is relaxed, but gently pointing up. Soften your eyes, close your eyes. and embody that tree. If you are standing, feel the weight in your heels sinking down. If you're seated or standing, in whatever way works for you, energetically send roots down into the earth. Send them deep, send them wide. We have about 10 or 11 people in the room here at Enso. We have about 15 people online. Beautiful forest. Feel the group energy field that we are creating together, connecting via our roots, tuning in to that beneficial frequency. And I'll be quiet now as we breathe. And gently dropping your hands down. Let's do a little flow. Wonderful. Keep forgetting there's a clock in this room now. That's very helpful. That's new. I like that. All right, so we now are going to do our fire element, which is in our heart, which positive expressions of a balanced heart are compassion and being rooted in your heart. The flip side of that is, right, being too open, getting unsettled, having anxiety. So we want to just balance out the heart, that we can be open-hearted. So let's just start floating our hands at basically the level of our heart. And just imagine these are like clouds in the sky just moving. That's what our emotions are. We are the blue sky. It's fine to have emotions, but we don't want to follow them. Let them drift by. So just floating and floating. And next time you're on this side, mirror me. We're gonna drop that outer hand and then shift across, and then hands change place and shift across. So I'm turning from my hips and my waist, and that lower hand is like a shadow of the upper hand. And now you can turn that upper hand towards you and feel it clearing the heart. And I say this in every class, there's nothing wrong with emotions. They're what make us human. We just don't want to get stuck there or be driven by our emotions. So we just do these balancing exercises. If you're feeling super emotional, sometimes it's nice to go fast and slow. There's no particular breathing pattern with this. It's really whatever feels right to you. And slowing down, slowing down. Standing posture, holding the golden urn to the heavens. The heavens is the sky, the sun. So have your hands pointing up and imagine a beautiful golden urn being filled with sunshine, all things good. And let it calm down your arms and nourish your heart in whatever way that means to you. Pay special attention to your palms. If you run hot, you can imagine it's nighttime and the twinkly starlight is coming down, cooling, balancing. And bringing your arms down. Let's move back for those of you that wish to do a seated mini check-in. If you want to stay standing, that's fine. We're going to do a mini check-in, then we'll do our earth flow, and then we'll end with a minute or two of quiet. So let's just check and see. We're nearing the end of class, and in your own way and in your own time, soften your eyes, turning your attention inward, taking a long, slow, deep breath. Exhaling fully, just noticing, how has your breath changed? Does it get stuck anywhere? Has it loosened up a little? Doing that body scan, top to bottom. What's changed? What stayed the same? Tune into your thoughts, your emotions. Putting that all together and just comparing to the beginning of class until now, almost an hour of Qigong. And we'll end with our centering the earth. And so hands at the level of the belly button, gonna lean forward, exhale out, and then gathering beneficial earth energy, depositing it into the middle, your deep reservoir. Exhaling, pushing away any stress. Inhaling that solid, grounding earth energy. Out through the nose, in through the nose. Person with a balanced, healthy earth element is able to digest what happens every day, the events of the day, just as we have physical digestion, we also have emotional digestion, and practices like Qigong can really help us. One more time. One hand facing up under the belly button, other hand reaches up and around, down the midline, condensing our energy into our storage. Switching the hands, up and around, down the midline. Filling up that deep reservoir, storing the energy. One more to each side. And hand over the belly button. And we'll do a 1 minute silent meditation. You'll hear my voice at the end. If your mind gets distracted, come back to your breath and just savor this time. And keeping your attention focused inward, you can softly open your eyes if you would like. We'll spend our last minute sending this beneficial energy out. Together, we make a bright light. You can send it to yourself if you're going through a challenging time. Know that you're receiving it from other people in the class. Send it to people in your family, your circle of friends, your community, out into the world. And we will end our time together, as we always do, dedicating the merit of our practice. I truly believe our work together makes a difference for us individually, for our neighborhoods, for our world. So the words, if you choose to join me, are, may the merit of our practice benefit all beings and bring peace. May the merit of our practice benefit all beings and bring peace. Beautiful. Thank you, everybody. So the schedule is, I will be here next week, and then I'll be gone for 2 weeks. And I'll send an email out about that, but just kind of plan, and then plan to see you all in March. So be well, take good care. Thank you for showing up. I really love practicing together. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Lena, Lonnie, Amy, Anita, Barbara, Deb, Jane, Marcia, Mary, Ruth, and Sarah, and Lou, and Irene, and Joanne, and Meg, and Bill, and Mark, and Michael, and Meredith, and Shu Chui. I did it! Oh, and Joy, the wonder dog. Bye, everybody. Take care.